Hello students, welcome to the module number 10 of magnetostatics. In this module, we will be discussing on magnetic force between current carrying wires. Okay, so if there are a number of wires which carry current, then obviously we know that around the wire there will be magnetic field. Okay, so if another wire is placed in that magnetic field, then that wire will experience a force. So the force exerted by current carrying wires, we can find out. Yeah, we can find out its magnitude and direction both from the fundamental principle that we studied in module number 2. That was about force experienced by charged particle. Okay, when our charged particle moves in a magnetic field, we have found that they will experience a force. That force is called Lorentz force. Okay, so Lorentz force is given by q times the charge times v cross b. Okay, so where v is the velocity and b is the magnetic field experienced by the particle. So this is the case of a single charged particle. A similar formula we can derive for charge or current carrying wires, because inside the wire there are charges. So obviously when a wire current carrying wire is placed in a magnetic field, charges will experience a force. So obviously we can say that wire also experience a force. So today we will find what will be the expression for the force experienced by such wires. Okay. For example, we will take the most simplest case with two wires. Okay, both wires are carrying current. You can call I1 and I2 as the current passing through the wires, and they are separated by some distance. So what happens? The first wire, for example, if you take the first wire, it will carry a current. So obviously there will be current. There will be a magnetic field around it, and the second wire you can count as located or situated in the magnetic field of the first. Similarly, second wire carry current I2. So obviously there is a magnetic field around the wire, and wire 1 is wire 1 is located in the vicinity of wire 2. So wire 1 is experiencing a magnetic field. So obviously a force. So in short, both wires they carry currents as well as they exert force on each other. So these forces can be either attractive or repulsive. That depends on the current direction, distances, etc. So that is what today we are going to see. So for that, initially you take a piece of wire. Okay, this is a small segment of a wire. In the figure you can see. So it contains plenty of charges, Qs, a lot of charges, and the wire piece is kept in a magnetic field. Okay, so let the magnetic field be B. So for a single charge, as you know, there are millions of charge in a wire piece. So now you take a single charge, then the force experienced by that single charge will be given by Q times V cross B. So now you assume the entire piece, the entire block, it is of cylindrical shape. If you take that, you can write the total charge contained in this piece as rho v times volume, where rho v is the charge contained in unit volume multiplied by total volume. So we get a total charge contained in this cylindrical volume as Q is equal to rho v into V. Okay, so rho v we have already got familiar, it is volume charge density. So now you can replace the small q with a rho v for this cylindrical volume. Okay, so this was for a single charge. So if you replace this q, prior to that, this is a volume, so we can replace this volume with length times the area cross section. So volume will be length times area cross section. So Q becomes rho V L into V. Okay. So instead of Q, now you replace with a rho V L into A times V cross B. So now this is the force experienced by the small volume of wire element. Okay, so this suppose assume the length of the wire is small l, so this is that small l. So this can be few millimeters, it can be few centimeters, it can be few meters. That depends on the situation you have taken. Okay, so now just a small rearrangement we can make inside without changing the sequence of cross product, because cross product is very important. So what we have done is we took V here and L here. Okay, simply rearranging, but not changing the sequence of crossing. Still crossing is with V and V. Okay, so there is no harm in making such a sequence change. Again, this rho V into V, charge density multiplied by velocity, that is in fact called current density. This equation you have studied in chapter 1. So current density is equal to rho V times V. So J is brought here. Okay. So now again, this is area and this is charge density, current density. So J into A, again is a small rearrangement we are making without changing the sequence. We can never write B cross J. Okay, we can only write J cross B. Because all others are scalars. Okay, so J into A is brought here. Again, you can attribute the vector notation of J to L, provided J and L are in the same direction. That is, there is no harm in considering like that. So the vector notation is attributed to L and J is brought as a scalar quantity. Okay. So now you see J into A, we have studied in the previous module, because current is equal to J into A. Okay, current by area is volume current density. So J into A, you can replace with the current simply. This is current density, J is current density, whereas I is current. So J times A is current into I, L cross B. L is the wire length and B is the magnetic field. So we can say that for a straight wire, okay, so now you think about the B. We have two wires. So wire 1 is in the field produced by wire 2. So obviously B will be the magnetic field produced by the wire 2. And for a straight wire, you know, magnetic field produced by a straight wire is given by mu 0 upon 2 pi into I by D. Okay, this is applicable for this B, because wire 1 is in the magnetic field of wire 2. Similarly, wire 2 is in the magnetic field of wire 1. Both are equally right. So let us remove this B, and instead of B we can place this expansion. So what happens? We have this B, L cross B you can now change into scalar form because of the convenience that L and B are mutually perpendicular. L is like this and B is like this in the wire. So because L cross B will be LB sine 90, sine 90 is 1, so L into B is placed here. Okay, now we can make it more specific. Let us specifically denote what is F. F12 is the force on the wire 1 due to 2. Force on wire 1 due to 2. So current will be in wire 1 and magnetic field will be due to wire 2. So that is why here I1 is placed and B2 is placed here. So force on wire 1 due to wire 2. Due to is placed here, and on what wire this is placed here. So I think it is clear. Force on wire 1 due to 2 wire 2 is equal to I1 into L into B2. And B2 is already given here. So you can replace the B2. So we get I1 L into L times B2 is this. We have already derived it. Okay. So if you make a slight rearrangement, you get a mu 0 upon 2 pi I1 I2 by D into L. So this is the force experienced by wire 1 due to wire 2. Okay, and similarly you can write it other way also. Force experienced by wire 2 due to wire 1 will be mu 0 upon 2 pi I1 I2 by d into L. So you can see that both equations are identical. Both equations are identical, numerically identical. Okay, so we can write one thing. If this is the force, total force experienced by the wire 1, then you can give an expression for the force experienced per unit length. How we can do? You simply bring the L here. So we get F12 by L will be equal to force per unit length will be equal to mu 0 upon 2 pi I1 I2 by d. Okay, now this is more specific and its unit will be Newton per meter. Newton per meter. So schematically it is shown here. Okay, wires are here. So force on wire 1 due to 2 by L. Okay, so this formula is very obvious, and this gives the expression for the force on wires, and magnitude wise both are equal, but not the direction. Not the direction. So let us talk about the direction also. Let's try to find the direction of these forces. Again, we wrote the force equation, and our force on wire 2 due to wire 1 is of this equation. F21 is equal to, we again brought the vector notation here, I2 into L cross B1. Okay, and here we will give more focus to the direction. What is L actually? L is in the, you take the coordinate system here, you have the X, Y, Z system. X with I cap, Y with J cap, and Z with K cap. So from the figure you can see that current is passing in the K cap direction. So length is also along the same direction. So we give L, vector L is equal to L K cap. Okay, this is in the Z direction. Current is flowing in the Z direction. Okay, so L, we have this relation. And what about B? And B1, you can see B1. B1 is the magnetic field on wire 2 due to wire 1. And obviously in the figure you can see that it is into the plane of the slide, into the plane of the screen. That is exactly the minus x direction. Okay, that's a minus x direction, or into the plane of the screen. So you can see into the plane of the screen is minus x direction, denoted with the minus I cap. So B1 is equal to having a direction minus I cap. So okay, you have now L, you have now B1. So replace all this in the equation. So we have F21 is equal to I2 into L K cap cross mu 0 upon 4 pi I1 by d minus I cap. You can make a simple rearrangement and take the unit vectors outside. What happens when you rearrange? You get mu 0 upon 2 pi I1 I2 L by d K I cap. That sequence you can never change. K cap cross minus I cap. K cap is like this, and minus I cap is downward. So when you rotate, you can see K cap to minus I cap. Okay, so what will happen? The direction, it is like rotating a right hand screw in the anti-clockwise direction. It is like rotating a right hand screw in the anti-clockwise direction. So obviously the crossing mathematics, the fundamentals of vector will show you that will be in the minus j cap direction. Understand? Minus j cap direction. It is obviously clearly shown in the figure also. The k cap cross minus I cap will be in this direction. That is the minus j cap direction. So we get k cap cross minus I cap is equal to minus j cap. That means the force on the wire 2 due to wire 1 will be in this direction. Okay, minus I cap, or along the negative y direction. Understand? So we got the concept of direction also. So force per unit length can be obviously found. There is no difficulty in finding force per unit length. And what about the other way? Force on wire 2 due to wire 1. So then we have to do what? Wire 2 due to wire 1. Again cap is same because current is in the same direction, and this will become minus I cap. Okay, minus I cap. Why it is minus I cap? Because magnetic field is penetrating into the plane of the screen. Here magnetic field B is penetrating into the plane of the screen, that is why it is minus I cap. So that will show you that what happens, K cap cross minus I cap will give you simply J cap. Okay, so that is in the along the positive y direction. So what does it imply? What is the physics of this? It simply implies that force on wire 1, okay, due to wire 2 will be along the positive direction. So on the wire 2, force is in the negative direction, whereas on wire 1 the force is in the positive direction. So you can see that when wires are carrying current in the same direction, they perform or they exert a mutually attractive force on each other. So we have a rule now. So we can say that by seeing these two equations, okay, F1 2 by L and F2 1 by L, they are mutually equivalent opposite, provided current is flowing in the same direction. So you can say that when current is flowing through two parallel wires in the same direction, the wires attract each other. Okay, that is the conclusion we get from these derivations. Okay, these are the physical conclusion. When wires are carrying current in the same direction, the force of interaction will be attractive. Okay, so obviously if you go in the other way, if two parallel wires are carrying current in the opposite direction, then wires will repel each other. This is completely opposite to the electrostatic phenomena, in which we studied that when there are similar charges, they will repel, and when there are opposite charges, they will attract. But here the situation is the contrary. When there are identical current in the identical direction, they will attract, and when there are current in the opposite direction, they will repel. Okay, the vice versa phenomena is very clear from this particular derivation. So this is one of the important principle in magnetostatics, and as you may be knowing, we have seen that wires are experiencing forces, especially when they carry current. Wires are experiencing force when they carry current. This fundamental phenomena find immense applications in various number of electrical gadgets in the modern civilization. Even the civilization's current progress has been achieved because of the discovery of this fundamental principle. That means whenever a wire carry current placed in a magnetic field, they experience a force. This fundamental principle is used in all sorts of electric motors. Okay, that is the very importance of this fundamental findings in magnetostatics. Because suppose you have a wire, you carry some current, you pass some current through it and place in a strong magnetic field, they experience force, and that force you can convert into appropriate torque. So, and torque, we know, torque will lead to rotation. So suitable engineering, you design such gadgets such as wires or coils and place them in appropriate magnetic field, and you can extract rotational motion. That rotational motion find immense application in various conversion processes. Okay, you can convert any sort of energy. So that is the fundamental relevance of this finding. Okay, so all electric motors available in currently in technology and engineering and various other industries are basically deriving its fundamental principle from this law. Okay, law of what is called the law of Fleming's left hand rule. The Fleming left hand rule is used the operation of all electric motors. So this is in fact very simple. If you take the left hand and take your thumb, middle finger and forefinger in three mutually perpendicular direction as shown in the figure. Okay, so this is the pointing finger, okay, index finger, and this is the middle finger, and this is thumb. They are kept in mutually perpendicular direction, where your middle finger is in the direction of current and the index finger or ring finger is in the direction of magnetic field, then obviously the direction of force will be shown to you by the thumb. Okay, that is the left hand thumb rule. Thumb will give you the direction of force acting on the conductor. Okay, provided that you are placing your wire along the middle finger and magnetic field in the direction of the index finger. Okay, so that means this is L, this is B, and L cross B will be obviously is an anti-clockwise rotation, and it will take the screw upward. So that is clear. So this is simplest method, very handy layman method to find the direction of force, which exactly matches or compatible with the equation, given equation. So let us briefly explain now what is Fleming's left hand rule. You stretch the thumb finger and the middle finger and your left hand of your left hand in such a way that they are perpendicular to each other. This one and this one perpendicular to each other, and therefore point to the direction of magnetic field, and the middle finger points in the direction of current. Then the thumb would give the direction of force or motion acting on the conductor. It can be force or maybe slightly the wire may get slightly displaced. So this whole statement is known as Fleming's left hand rule, using which you can find the direction of force acting on a wire. That is the most important application of this rule. Okay. So based on this phenomena, you can solve number of problems, engineering, physical problems. This is the first question. This question was taken from Halliday and Resnick. A very simple question. A straight horizontal copper wire has a current of I is equal to 28 ampere through it. What are the magnitude and direction of the minimum magnetic field B needed to suspend the wire in air so as to balance the gravitational force on it? The linear mass density of the wire is 46.6 gram per meter. A very beautiful question. The question asks you have a wire, this is placed in a magnetic field. Okay, so it is suspended. So a magnetic field is acting on it, so there will be naturally a force. And obviously when a wire is suspended in magnetic field, what happens? There will be a downward gravitational force. So question asks you how much B should be given, how much B magnetic field should be given, so that they get suspended. Okay, neither small nor large, equal force. So an equilibrium is reached so that wire get to float in the air. There are many such a physical situation in nature. Okay, so here you can assume a coordinate system like this. Okay, your wire is along the x direction. Understand? You have to find out what should be the direction of magnetic field. Don't care the picture. Okay, and the force due to magnetic field on a wire is ILB. Okay, that is the magnitude, and mass is mg. If you equate both this relation, you will get the value of B, no doubt. Okay, you get the value of B. And you also, with your intuitive your curiosity, you find the direction on what direction B should be applied, and you can specify using the coordinate system. The coordinate system is given here for your convenience. You specify the direction in which B has to be applied. So that direction and magnitude you include in the assignment. Okay, the assignment you submitted. So some of the hints are given here. You solve the problem by drawing all the diagrams. So this is a problem given in Halliday and Resnick. Hope you understood the problem. Once again, you try to understand the whole concept and do the problem in a beautiful way. Okay, so here is the second question. This question is taken from your prescribed textbook, Griffith textbook. A rectangular loop of wire supporting a mass M hangs vertically with one end in a uniform magnetic field B, which points into the page as shown in the figure. What should be the direction and magnitude of the current I in the loop that would exactly balance the gravitational force downward. Very beautiful problem. You have a loop. This is the loop actually. Loop is suspended with a small mass, and it is inserted in a magnetic field from bottom. Okay. So obviously the wire piece, this piece only. Okay, this piece will experience a force. You know it. It will be vertically upward, and there's a mass downward. So you have to find the value of the current and magnitude of the current direction. Which direction the current should be passed? Whether it is the positive y direction or in the negative y direction. With the appropriate logic, you can get the answer and do it as an assignment. You can use the same coordinate system as given in the figure and specify the direction using this coordinate system. That is very important. Specifying direction is very important. In addition to finding the magnitude, direction of current, in which direction to be passed, you find out it. So do this wonderful problem. Okay. So there is another question. So that is the third question. A uniform electric and magnetic field are oriented at a right angle to each other. Okay, in a region. Okay, they are right angle. An electron moves with a speed of 8 times 10 raised to 6 meter per second at right angles to both fields and passes undeflected through the field. Okay. If the magnitude of B is 0.5 times 10 raised to minus 3 Weber per meter square, find the value of E. Okay, here again you have the idea that E and B are perpendicular, and force produced by electric field is E times Q. Okay, and force produced by magnetic field is QVB. Okay, so you can equate them. Okay, anyway you do direction, show the direction of magnetic force and electric force. So then only the problem become more beautiful, more which carry physics. Okay, so draw the diagram and show the force direction so that electron is not undeflected. They moves undeflected. Okay, so you get a balancing equation. Solve the balancing equation, then find the value of electric field. Okay, that you can do. For your help, the answer is given here, but don't simply copy the answer. You do the problem, enjoy the problem while doing it, then find out the answer. So there is a request that you try to draw maximum figures with all the problems. Okay, figures will help you a lot in solving the problem in a wonderful manner. Okay, so with this ideas, let us stop today's class, and you do all the problems in time and try to submit in Google Classroom. Thank you all of you. Thank you.